Hello students and welcome back. In this module, we are going to deal with the second half of the lesson, Conflict with the Mughals, Chapter 6, Standard 7, Subject History, presented by Sara Pereira. Before we move ahead with the second part of the lesson, let us have a short recap of what we learned in the previous module. First topic was Shaista Khan's invasion. In February 1660, Shaista Khan left from Ahmednagar and entered the Pune province. He ravaged the territory of the Swaraj by sending small units of his army to the neighboring areas. He camped at Chakan. Firangoji Narsala, the Kiledar of the fort of Chakan, offered a strong resistance to Shaista Khan's army. Finally, the Mughals captured the fort of Chakan. Shaista Khan set up his camp at Lal Mahal in Pune, where Shivaji Maharaj had lived in his childhood. Khan sent his forces in these regions around Pune. These forces looted the people. 2 years passed, but he would not think of leaving Pune. Naturally, this had an adverse effect on the people's morale. In these circumstances, Maharaj drew up a bold plan. Shivaji Maharaj decided to raid Lal Mahal secretly under his own leadership. On 5th April 1663, Maharaj raided Lal Mahal at night with a select band of soldiers. In this raid, Shaista Khan lost his fingers. He suffered great humiliation. He left Pune and shifted his camp to Aurangabad. Due to this episode, he incurred the displeasure of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb transferred him to the province of Bengal. The successful attack on Shaista Khan had an impact on the people, and their faith in the capability of Maharaj was strengthened even further. The next topic was the Surat campaign. In 3 years' time, Shaista Khan had ravaged large territories of the Swaraj. It was necessary to make good this loss. For this, Shivaji Maharaj devised a plan for teaching the Mughals a lesson. Surat was a big trade center and port under Mughal control. The British, Dutch, and French had their factories there. Maximum revenue was being generated by this city for the emperor. It was a rich city. Maharaj marched on Surat. Inayat Khan, the Subedar of Surat, could not put up any resistance. Maharaj obtained plenty of wealth from Surat without bothering the common people. His campaign of Surat was completely successful. This campaign was a stunning blow to Emperor Aurangzeb's prestige. The next topic is Jai Singh's invasion. With a view to curbing the increasing activities of Shivaji Maharaj, Aurangzeb sent Mirza Raje Jai Singh, an experienced and powerful Rajput Sardar. Jai Singh came to Pune. He started rallying all the forces against Shivaji Maharaj. To the Portuguese of Goa and Vasai, the Dutch of Vengurla, the British of Surat, and the Siddhis of Janjira, Jai Singh suggested that they should start a naval campaign against Maharaj. Jai Singh drew up a plan of capturing the forts in possession of Maharaj. Mughal forces were sent to various parts of the Swaraj. They ravaged the territories of the Swaraj. Maharaj endeavored to resist the Mughals. Jai Singh and Diler Khan laid siege to the fort of Purandar. When the Mughals put the fort of Purandar under siege, Murarbaji Deshpande fought with the greatest of courage. He died a hero's death. Considering the seriousness of the situation, Maharaj began talks for a treaty with Jai Singh. He met Jai Singh personally. A treaty between Jai Singh and Maharaj was signed in Pune in June 1665. It is known as the Treaty of Purandar. In accordance with the term of the treaty, Maharaj gave to the Mughals 23 of his forts and the adjoining territories, yielding an annual revenue of 4 lakh horns. He also assured the Mughals of help against the Adil Shahi. The treaty was ratified by Aurangzeb. And the last topic that we did in the previous video was Agra visit and escape. After the Treaty of Purandar, Jai Singh launched a campaign against the Adil Shahi. Maharaj helped Jai Singh, but this camp of Jai Singh was not successful. Jai Singh and Aurangzeb felt that Shivaji Maharaj ought to be kept away, at least for some time, from the Deccan politics. Jai Singh proposed to Shivaji Maharaj that he should visit Agra and meet the emperor. He guaranteed the safety of Shivaji Maharaj. Shivaji Maharaj set out for Agra. He was accompanied by Prince Sambhaji and a few of his trusted people who were ready to risk their lives for him. Shivaji Maharaj reached Agra. Aurangzeb did not treat him with due honor at his court. Maharaj gave vent to his rage. The emperor then put him under house arrest. Undeterred by this action of the emperor, Maharaj devised a plan of escaping from this house arrest. He adroitly escaped from Agra and reached Maharashtra safely after a few days. He reached Rajgarh. While returning from Agra, he had left Sambhaji Raje at Mathura. Later, Prince Sambhaji was brought safely to Rajgarh. While Maharaj was away from Swaraj, Veer Mata Jizabai and the associates of Shivaji Maharaj looked after the administration of Swaraj. On the offensive against Mughals. Immediately after returning from Agra, Maharaj did not want any conflict with the Mughals because he was under house arrest for a long time and he had escaped from there and then he was tired. He did not want to get into any conflict now. But he wanted to recapture the forts and territories given to the Mughals as per the Purandar Treaty. In the Purandar Treaty, he had given 23 forts already. Okay, and that treaty was signed between them, but then when he was arrested, Shivaji Maharaj thought that if Aurangzeb has betrayed him, he wants his forts back, and so he did not want to have any conflict, but he wanted his forts and territories back. For this, he prepared a comprehensive and bold plan. It was his strategy to capture the forts by sending a well-equipped army on the one hand, and on the other hand, to keep the Mughals unstable by invading the territories of Deccan under their control. So his plan was he would try to harass Mughals from both the sides. He would send army to the Mughals on one side, all the well-equipped army with arms and ammunitions, and on the other side he would also try to invade or capture the territories in the Deccan region. So it will become difficult for Mughals to fight at both the sides and concentrate on both the battles. So Shivaji Maharaj tried to keep the Mughals busy from both the sides. Maharaj attacked the Mughal territories of Ahmednagar and Junnar. Then he recaptured several forts such as Simhagad, Purandar, Lohgarh, Mahuli, Karnala, and Rohida, one after the other. Then Maharaj attacked Surat for a second time. While returning from Surat, he fought a great battle with the Mughals at Vani Dindori in Nasik district. Okay, Surat again and again Maharaj was trying to invade because that was a main point of attraction. Surat was a main trade point from where Mughals were gaining all the wealth. So earlier also when Surat campaign was launched, that time Shivaji Maharaj had captured and he had gained a lot of wealth of Mughals. So this time again, second time also he attacked Surat and then he also had a fight with the Mughals in Nasik. Maharaj defeated the Mughal Sardar Daud Khan in the great battle. After that, Moropant Pingle captured Trimbakgarh near Nasik. Thus, Shivaji Maharaj was successful in the offensive that he had launched against the Mughals. Sardars such as Tanaji Malusare, Moropand Pingle, Prataprao Gujar, etc., made a valuable contribution in these offensives. Okay, these were all trusted people of Shivaji Maharaj. Shivaji Maharaj, when he had decided that he is going to have um, an offensive against Mughal, he did not do it on his own or he did not plan it on his own ability, but because he had so many powerful and so many strong sardars who were also willing to sacrifice their lives for him. And they did. Many died also in several battles that were fought between Shivaji Maharaj and the Mughals. So it was not easy, but still, with this powerful Sardars, namely Tanaji Malusare, Moropant Pingre, Prataprao Gujar, okay, and there were many others. Because of these powerful Sardars, Shivaji Maharaj was able to have an offensive against Mughals. Krishnaji Anand Sabhasad, a contemporary chronicler, thus describes this campaign. Okay, chronicler is a person who writes what is happening. Chronicle is a record that is maintained, and in those times also there were these people, the chroniclers, okay, who were writing, and because of what they have written, today we are able to understand the true story of what happened, how it happened, where, when. All these terms we get to know only because of these chronicles which are written down. So this chronicler, he writes about this campaign that he means Shivaji Maharaj took as many as 27 forts in 4 months and earned a great reputation for himself. He had given 23 forts, but in 4 months he recaptured 27 forts. Definitely, this was a type of retaliation, or this was a type of uh, strong resistance, or a strong kind of blow that Shivaji Maharaj gave to the Mughals, and he earned great reputation for himself. Coronation. The founding of this Maratha Swaraj involved a relentless struggle for over 30 years. For 30 years, the struggle, which had started from uh, Shahaji Raje, okay, the father of Shivaji Maharaj, he had this dream of Swaraj, and he instilled this dream into his son, and his son also fought for Swaraj, and this fighting for Swaraj, or this struggle, was for 30 years. And Maharaj realized that now it was necessary for the Swaraj to win general recognition as a sovereign independent state, because he had already gained so many forts for himself, so many territories for himself. His power had also increased. People were aware of who Shivaji Maharaj was, and so now Shivaji Maharaj thought that it is necessary that Swaraj should be established as a sovereign independent state. For this, a formal coronation was necessary. On 6th June 1674, he had himself coronated at Raigad by Gaga Bhatt, a learned Pandit. Okay, Gaga Bhatt, who was the head Pandit of that time, he was invited to coronate Shivaji Maharaj. Maharaj ascended the throne of Swaraj. Throne is the seat of Swaraj, or the Raj Gaddi that we say. He now became the Chhatrapati of the Swaraj. As a symbol of sovereignty, the Rajabhishek Shakha, sovereignty is a state in which you are free to take your own decisions without any foreign influence. So Shivaji Maharaj was now his own, he had his own Swaraj. He was not under any influence of Adil Shahi or Mughals or nobody. So we call it as a sovereign state. And he had the Rajabhishek Shakha. The coronation era was started. Maharaj became the founder of new era. On the occasion of the coronation, special coins were minted. A gold coin called Hon and the copper coin called Shivrai with the legend Shri Raje Shiva Chhatrapati inscribed on them. You can see this on the slide that is put in front of you. Thereafter, all royal correspondences, okay, Rajpatra, carried the words Kshatriya Kalavantansa, Shri Raja Shiva Chhatrapati. This was put on all the seals or all the letters that were sent. Okay, whatever information was sent from one state to other, everywhere this kind of seal was put at the end. A dictionary showing Sanskrit alternatives for Persian words was prepared. It is known as Rajya Vyavahar Kosha. Then, the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj was a revolutionary event in the history of medieval India. It was so grand and so widespread that everywhere the news of coronation was spread. While explaining the importance of this event, Sabhasad, a contemporary chronicler, writes, "It was no mean achievement for a Maratha king to become such a great Chhatrapati." Okay, because earlier the Marathas were just Sardars under Adil Shahi, but now there was an independent Chhatrapati, so this was not an ordinary achievement. It was a great achievement and it was not a selfish one. It was for the people, for the betterment of the state. Shortly after this, on 24th September 1674, Shivaji Maharaj had his second coronation performed under the guidance of Nischal Puri Gosavi. There were two traditions of religious ceremonies in India, Vedic and Tantric, and he got himself coronated in both of these ceremonies, Vedic and Tantric, basically with all the customs and all the traditions and with all the muhurta and with all the blessings of all the saints. Okay, everything that he could do, he did it very strictly and very formally. Maharaj honored both the traditions and had two coronation ceremonies performed. Prince Sambhaji Raje was 17 years old at the time of the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj. He has described the coronation ceremony in the treatise Buddhabhushanam. It is based on his own experience. Without measuring or counting, plenty of money, clothes, elephants, horses were donated to the great scholars who had come to attend the coronation ceremony from different regions. Thus Shivaji Maharaj spread his fame in different directions. An extremely valuable and grand throne was made for the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj. There were 8 bejeweled pillars on 8 sides of the throne. This throne made of 32 mun of gold. Mun is a kind of unit to measure. Okay, so this much gold had been studded with precious jewel to the throne of Shivaji Maharaj. The campaign of the South. 3 years after the coronation, in October 1677, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj undertook a campaign of the south. He went to Golconda. There he called on the Qutub Shah. He entered into a treaty of friendship with him. Later, Maharaj won Bengaluru, Hoskote in Karnataka, Jinji, Vellore, etc., forts in today's Tamil Nadu, and some other territories of Adil Shah. He appointed Raghunath Narayan Hanamante, the chief administrator, to look after these conquered territories. Vyankoji, the half-brother of Shivaji Maharaj, was then ruling at Tanjavur. Shivaji Maharaj tried to get him to participate in the activities of the Swaraj. After Vyankoji Raje, the rulers of Tanjavur encouraged art and learning. The Saraswati Mahal library there is world famous. In this campaign of the south, Maharaj had annexed the fort of Jinji in Tamil Nadu to his Swaraj. This proved to be of great importance in later years. When the Mughal emperor stayed put in Maharashtra to destroy Swaraj, the then Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj had to leave Maharashtra for reasons of safety. At that time, he took shelter in this southern fort of Jinji and ran the administration of Swaraj from there. Soon after the victorious campaign of the south, Shivaji Maharaj passed away on Raigad on 3rd April 1680. His death at the age of 50 was a great loss for Swaraj. A great era came to an end. So we see that after he became Chhatrapati also, he continued his work, he continued establishing the territory, and he captured many places in south, he established his force there, and so many forts were captured. So basically Shivaji Maharaj's supremacy was spread not only in Maharashtra but to the south region also, and most of the Mughal emperors, they were shocked and surprised by his valor. With this, we finish our lesson. Thank you.